Now guys, before we go any further with this series of tutorials, I think it's really important to address the fact that the Raspberry Pi is a very exposed circuit board. It doesn't matter which model we're talking about, all of these have exposed components that are just as susceptible to wear, tear, oxidation, degradation as anything else, and obviously the computers that we're used to are protected by their cases. So in this video I invite you to follow along as I install a case and some other components on my own Raspberry Pi, the one I'll be using for the rest of this series, to show you how I'm going to protect it and ensure that its components continue to run for as long as possible. Just for your own reference guys, throughout this series I'm going to be using the Raspberry Pi 4 to build all the projects, but if you're just getting into the Raspberry Pi, just getting started, I recommend picking up the Pi 3B. It's got all the onboard things you need like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and it's going to require the fewest adapters. So let's start with our heatsinks, which are these little metal structures which we stick onto certain components of our Pi in order to help them dissipate heat. Many chips and processors can only work at peak performance if they're properly cooled, and they'll actually reduce their own performance if the system detects them getting too hot, and this process is called throttling. So by installing these heatsinks, what we're actually doing is increasing the effective surface area of the components, which then allows them to cool more efficiently and prolongs their lifespan, as well as maintaining their performance. I'd particularly recommend heatsinks like these if you're using a Raspberry Pi 4, as these ones seem to run slightly hotter than the other Raspberry Pis. So this little kit that I've got here has given us 3 parts, but the consistent factor is these fins that all 3 of them have, which, as we say, increase the relative surface area. So let's just size these up, make sure we're putting them in the right place. This square one I think is going to go on the CPU. This rectangular one is going to be for the SD RAM by the looks of things. Don't worry if you have a Pi 3, it doesn't have that discrete chip. And then this last one, it looks like, is going to go on the USB Ethernet controller. So with any luck, this next step should be nice and easy. We're just going to remove the tape. So you can see we've got this thermal pad, and it's this that we're going to connect directly to the component. Then nice and simple, just going to place it right on top there. Just try and wiggle it into place and then press it down. There we go, you can see that our first one has adhered in place. Let's do our SD RAM heatsink. Next, once again, just line it up, drop it right down on top, give it a good press. There we go, second one secured in place. And then lastly, our USB controller. I'm actually going to line this up manually because it's quite fiddly to get it in there. Not quite. There we go. And that's nice and secure. So there we go, that's protecting some of the key components there. Now that they're good to go, I've also got a case for us to install today with some associated screws. So this one goes together simply enough. You can see the 4 holes on our Pi board are going to match up with these 4 standoffs here. Then it just sits in the case. Then all we need to do with this one is just snap it downwards, just like that. Now, I'm looking for a few key things in a case. Something that protects the Raspberry Pi from dust and impact, but it's still going to give me access, you can see here, to all the key ports that I need when I'm making my project. In this case, pun very much intended, we actually have this snap-off bracket here, which would give us access to the GPIO pins, but I'm going to leave that for now. I'm just going to take this opportunity to tip out my bag full of components. Just going to take this time to organize our pieces. So we've got 4 little screws and 4 nuts. If I also flip my case over, we've got these 4 sticky feet, which if I pop them in, will just, there we go, raise the case off whatever surface it sat on slightly and improve the ventilation. There's 2, 3, and there's number 4. So all I'm going to do to remove this is just squeeze it slightly, which will disengage it. Perfect. And we're just going to screw our Pi down into the standoffs. I do recommend whenever you're working with circuit boards operating in a cross pattern. So I started with this corner, then moved to this corner, just so you don't place too much stress and fracture the board. So now I'm sure you're wondering about this fan. Our case obviously has a mounting site, which is what these screws and nuts are for, where we can attach this fan. If we flip it over and examine the back, if we're very careful, we can see that it actually runs on 0.2 amps at 5 volts. Now thankfully our GPIO pins can actually output at 5 volts. So we can plug in our fan directly so that it will spin up whenever the Pi itself receives power. This is going to help by providing additional cooling to the case. So before I go any further with this, I'm going to plug it in to test it. So I'm just going to spin this round so it's the right way up, that is with the USB ports facing to the right and the GPIO pins at the top. The easiest way to test our fan before we assemble the case any further is rotate it so that the red cable, the positive lead, is on the left hand side. We're holding it like this. Now if we come to our top row and find the second pin in, that's actually a 5 volt out. We'll talk about what each pin does in a bit more detail in another video, but we need 5 volts to power our fan. This pin provides us our 5 volts out, and the pin next to it, the third one in from the left on the top row, is actually a ground. In order to complete any electrical circuit, we need a positive signal out. It needs to hit our component, whatever it is, in this case our fan, then it needs to return to ground. So all we need to do is find our second and third pins, push them down, the fan will clip into place, and if we've installed it correctly, as soon as I provide power to the Pi, our fan should spin up. So I've got our USB Type-C cable here. I'm just going to plug it into this power bank we got given when we started at medical school. You can see we've got our 5 volt USB Type-C power input. You ready? And there we go. You can see that the fan is spinning now. So that's spinning, I can feel it vibrating in my hand. If I place my hand there, I can feel the air being pulled through. In general, the side of computer fans with the label on and the specs, it's towards the label that the air will be pulled, so it's being moved through this way. So now that we know that, we're going to disconnect our power supply. I'm just going to move our Pi to one side, and we are actually going to install the fan into our case. So we know that the air is being pulled towards the label, so it needs to be on this way. So we need to decide essentially which way round we want the cable to exit. Because it's just going to go to the GPIO pins, I'm going to place it this way, like this. So if I move that and maintain this orientation, I can then bob that into place like that, flip it over, and put these screws into place. Line it up roughly, grab our screws, feed that through from underneath. So there's the first one in place. We've got to install these little nuts. So there's the first one in place. I'm going to drop all of these screws in, hand flat over the back. That obviously supports them all in place. Put all the nuts on loosely just so they don't fall back through. And then we can just tighten all of those up. Obviously, if you had a spanner or a wrench or something, you could use that. So there we go, I'm happy that that's secure, that's not going anywhere, so it's time to actually close up our case. So as you can see, the way we've oriented this, when I close the case this way, the cable is going to be coming out close to the GPIO pins, which means it's not going to interfere with any other components. So what we'll do is connect that up once again, red on pin 2, black on pin 3. Then just gently close that, make sure that everything is lined up, and snap everything closed. So there we go, we have our sealed unit with the fan in place and our heat sinks installed on our Pi. So on the top we've got our fan and air intake, on the bottom we have an air exhaust and 2 screw mounts, if we wanted to attach it to a wall or something. So then one final test, I'm just going to bring our power supply back. So that is now running, I'm just going to bring it close to the mic. It's not a particularly loud fan, but you can see the power LED has lit up at the bottom, so our Pi is running properly. Good work, team. So there we go, guys, congratulations. I would say we've pretty successfully protected our Raspberry Pi for the remainder of this series. So I encourage you, where you can, when you're building projects, or certainly when you're deploying your Raspberry Pi after you've completed a project, it's really important to protect it with a case and make sure that it continues to work. So in the next episode, we'll jump into something a bit more interesting, that's setting up our Raspberry Pi to boot for the first time.